What's up, nerds? So Sparkle's character preview has officially been announced. That means we have a lot of information we didn't have before publicly about her kit, and that also means we have information about her traces that wasn't publicly available yet. So basically, this is the most information we're going to get about her before she actually releases. So let's take a look at this. This first trace here is associated with her basic attack, and when she uses her basic attack, she additionally regenerates energy, which is huge for being able to build up her ultimate. In my opinion, I like these other traces, though, a lot more. Let's take a look at them. This is associated with her skill. The other trace we have here, the crit damage boost effect provided by the skill, will be extended until the start of the target's next turn. So I really like this because this incentivizes people to not necessarily spam her skill every turn and allow her to use a basic attack in order to be able to build up some energy. So this gives us something that kind of synergizes with her own kit here, are these two traces, which I like. So let's take a look at this last trace here. It increases all allies' attack, which is big, but it additionally increases the attack of quantum-type allies based on the amount of quantum-type characters in the team. So many of us have been theory crafting the mono quantum dream team since before Silverwolf ever even came out. I have been talking about this since basically the game first came out and we first saw Silverwolf's kit. And this is the character that we've been waiting for so long because we've needed a second support character to fit in on a quantum team. And this is literally the devs paying attention to their players and realizing that they've wanted to build a quantum team. There's no way they didn't know that was going to happen, right? When you look at Silverwolf's kit, it literally screams mono quantum team. And it's basically the only mono element team that actually truly makes the most sense, and that's thanks to Silverwolf being able to apply quantum weakness to literally any enemy. So this quantum team you can throw into literally any environment and it's going to pop off. Will it be the best team on arrival? No, I don't think it will, but I think it'll be a very, very reliable team, and I think that's very good for basically any player, especially new players. So let's take a look at her technique, which has a pretty cool animation, I'm not going to lie. Using the technique grants all allies misdirect for a certain time. Characters with misdirect will not be detected by enemies, and entering battle in the misdirect state recovers a certain number of skill points for the team. Based on what we know from the special programming, I personally think it's going to be 2 skill points we gain from it. I might be wrong on that, but I know it's probably not 1, right? Otherwise, they would have just said skill point. The fact they said skill points in plural makes me believe they're going to give us 2. But it could be more. I could be wrong about that. Let me know in the comments what you think about that particular number. So, obviously, she has a basic attack. It looks really cool, to be honest, but it doesn't really do anything other than gain you some energy. Some extra energy, of course, thanks to her trace. Now, let's move on to her skill, because that's more fun. Or I guess we're going to look at her talent first. So, her talent, Red Herring, while Sparkle is on the battlefield, additionally increases the max number of skill points. And whenever an ally consumes a skill point, all allies' damage dealt increases. This effect lasts for a certain number of turns, plural, and can stack up to a certain number of times. This is huge because we're going to be gaining skill points from her. She's a skill point generator, and we're going to be rewarded for using skill points on our team. So there might be certain moments in time where you have a spare skill point, but you don't necessarily need to use it, but you might want to use it because it might be like you're synchronizing a bunch of buffs with your main DPS's ultimate. And so you might, let's just say, use a skill point with your healer or whatever that you don't necessarily need to use, but you use it so you get that extra stack, so you get that extra damage. It could be huge. So I really, really like seeing this on the talent. And like I said, any ally can trigger this. It's not just her or any other support. This is triggered by any ally, which is huge. So let's take a look at her skill, which is a buffing ability. It increases the crit damage of a target ally for a certain number of turns. This also causes the target's action to be advanced forward, and this is the one thing that people are comparing her to Bronya with. I don't know why it's being compared to so heavily, because this is pretty much the only true thing that I personally see that is comparable to Bronya, besides the fact that you will get an increased amount of damage from her too, but that's basically any support, right? It's this action advance forward that people keep comparing her to Bronya for. But it isn't quite as good as Bronya's, ability, because with Bronya's ability, you immediately jump them in front in line, but with this ability, you're only jumping them in front of line so far. But this crit damage bonus, just so you guys know, is absolutely freaking massive, and it's not just this crit damage, right? Because you have to remember, her talent and her skill are also going to give an increased amount of damage, right? So something to think about there. She's stacking a bunch of different types of pieces of damage increase, and that's massive. That's what makes her so good, in my opinion. It's not necessarily this action advance forward. It's the sheer amount of bonus damage you're going to be gaining just from her alone. So let's take a look at her ultimate here. Her ultimate, here with 1,000 faces, recovers a certain number of skill points for the team and grants all allies Cypher. For allies with Cypher, each stack of the damage boost effect provided by Sparkle's talent additionally increases by a certain percentage, lasting for a certain number of turns. So that's what I meant earlier about trying to stack up her talent, even sometimes when you don't necessarily need to use the skill point for anything important. You might just want to blow a bunch of skill points in order to gain a bunch of stacks, because as long as her ultimate is still active, it won't just be that multiplier. You'll have an increase on the damage multiplier with her ultimate active. So definitely pay attention in combat. Go to the buffs and debuffs menu while you're in combat. Pay attention to it. That way you can make sure you're really building up the amount of damage stacks that you can gain with Sparkle to really maximize a very powerful turn, because that's pretty much what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to build up to, yeah, you're going to be dealing damage every single turn, but you really want to build into a very, very powerful ultimate with your main DPS with her to truly maximize the amount of damage you can gain off of what she can do. And then rinse and repeat, build back up to that super powerful moment again. This is really, really good. This is what I wanted to see from Sparkle's kit. That trace that allows that extension on her skill is massive. A lot of people were complaining about the possibility that Sparkle wouldn't actually be that skill point efficient, because you'd have to spam her skill every single turn, and her ultimate only gives us so many skill points to use, and it will be somewhat of a waste. But that extension allows us to be able to use a basic attack with her every once in a while, which gains us energy, which keeps her ult up too, which is really, really nice, and it keeps the damage output coming. And that ultimate also gives us an increase of her talent's damage stacks, which is huge. She doesn't have to necessarily do a whole lot to give us a ton of damage. And if you have the room to be able to use her skill pretty often and give that increased crit damage bonus, which is gnarly, by the way, I've seen the numbers, it's huge. I hope people are paying attention and they're not necessarily going to skip this character because they think she's mid or something. She's going to be huge. We have Ting Yun, we have Bronya, Ron Mei, and now Sparkle. We have 4 OP support characters that we can use in basically Enemy Maria of Chaos run and clear super easily. Yeah, sure, of course, we have characters like Pela, Silverwolf, we don't have to use buffers every single time, but having those 4 super OP Harmony characters on your team or on your account is huge, and we finally have that with Sparkle. And I hope that you guys are paying attention and not necessarily skipping on her just to pull for Acheron. I get it. If you want to skip her and go for Acheron, that's not a dumb idea. Acheron's going to be crazy. But I hope people are paying attention and not skipping over Sparkle just because they think she's going to be, Bronya 2.0 or something like that, and just skipping for that reason. And Mono Quantum Dream Team lovers, we got the support character we've been wanting to put next to Silverwolf since patch 2.1, or sorry, since patch 1.1. She's finally here. The Mono Quantum Dream Team is finally here. And now we can start complaining about the fact that we haven't had a DPS quantum unit since 1.0. Yes, the Quantum Dream Team lovers will always be looking for something more, because now we need a new quantum DPS besides QQ, besides Sela. We need that next super OP quantum character now. And I don't know who it's going to be, but I'm excited for what the future has to hold. I know I'm just yapping now. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.